Hello and welcome. My name is Rachel Herring, and today I'm going to be going over 4 key terms from the MAP growth assessments. So I have attached the link to this presentation below underneath the YouTube video. You should be able to select the link and follow along on Google Slides. So let's go ahead and get started. So the 4 key terms that we're going to be going over today are adaptive assessment, RIT score, zone of proximal development, also known as ZPD, and normative data. So first we'll talk about adaptive assessment. This is a method for administering tests that adapts to the student's ability level in real time. So it's not going to ask all students all the same questions. Instead, the test is going to adjust to the student's individual performance and responses. For example, a student answers a question correctly, the test will adjust and ask harder questions. The same goes for incorrect answers. The test will adjust and ask an easier question. This does come with some advantages. It can reduce anxiety for students. It applies to a wide range of abilities, and it's going to be individually paced. It's also going to reduce the overall amount of time required for the test, which is great. It's going to increase test security, and most importantly, it's going to create a more accurate picture of the learner as an individual and as a class. Next, we're going to be talking about RIT scores. So RIT scores are scores that represent a student's level of achievement and growth in a particular subject. If you look to the left, NWEA currently creates RIT scores for students in reading, language usage, mathematics, and general science. So this growth can be measured using the RIT score across the school year and over time throughout their educational career. So just like you would track a student's height using inches, the RIT scale similarly tracks academic growth with a number. So the scale is stable. It's used to measure growth regardless of whether the student is performing above, below, or at grade level. What would you do with RIT scores? So educators can use the RIT score for a variety of different things. The RIT score is going to be used to inform instructional planning. It's going to help identify common opportunity areas or areas of weakness across maybe an entire class or across a small group of children. It's going to help guide decisions about appropriate scaffolding strategies that you might use in the classroom. It's going to help set growth goals with students, individually, with groups. The RIT score is going to provide a starting point for high quality formative assessment. And that's going to guide future classroom instruction. It's going to track longitudinal growth over a student's entire academic career, which is also very helpful if the student is moving from elementary school to middle school. As long as the school still uses the NWEA assessment system, that data will follow with them and you will see the growth over time. Lastly, it's going to connect instructional resources aligned to that student according to their RIT scores. So super helpful for teachers and students alike. Next, we're going to be talking about the zone of proximal development. So I'm going to shut my camera off for a brief moment so you can see this visual on the screen. So this is taken from our NWEA website, and this is just a visual of what the zone of proximal development looks like. So as many of you know, this term was coined by Lev Vygotsky in regards to educational psychology and cognitive development. It's going to refer to what a student is capable of achieving on their own versus what students are capable of achieving with the right assistance and scaffolding. So if we're thinking about Goldilocks, this is the quote unquote just right learning for the student. So once again, referencing the visual on the left, as you can see, the turquoise circles are the zone of proximal development. That's that sweet spot, the just right learning. That's what we're aiming for. In contrast to that, below is the yellow. That's what the learner is able to do without assistance. And then opposite of that is the purple, and that's what the learner cannot do even with assistance. That's too far out of their reach. So once again, the zone of proximal development is that just right learning spot, right in the middle, what the student can achieve with assistance. So why is that important? It tells us where the student is, where they need to go to attain mastery. NWEA reports do a great job of showing ZPD roadmaps for classrooms as a whole and individual students based on their assessments. So this is super helpful, and I'm really excited about this. So it really helps us to individualize instruction and planning and takes away so much of that time that we would normally be spending mapping all of these things out. So if you take a look at the screen, I've pulled up the instructional planning report for the class as a whole. Each section is listed, and the zone of proximal development for each area is listed. And then the student's name are also listed individually below that. So you can tell by looking at level 2, the following students listed below, their zone of proximal development is initial sounds. Underneath that, we have also listed and connected activities to support those students and that zone of proximal development goal. So this would be great for planning small group. It would be great for bringing up at conferences to parents. Just a really useful tool within the assessment results. If you wanted to dig deeper and get more on an individual basis, you can also pull up a student report for individual students, and that's also going to showcase and highlight ZPD for the different measures within the assessment. So as you can see, blending and segmenting is the ZPD goal for phonological awareness for this student, and within phonics and word recognition, the ZPD is decodable one-syllable words. Those are the 2 highlighted boxes. Again, below, the blue highlighted links are activities that directly support that ZPD goal. So some of the work has already been done for you. It's connected. It's very helpful. So there are 3 colors that are also worth mentioning within the individual reports: green, yellow, and red. And those colors just relate to how close to being on grade level those ZPDs are for that student. So we can get into more of that later, but it is worth mentioning. Below, you'll see that I have linked the PDF document that goes into further detail about using the reports and the ZPD function within that. Last but not least, we will be talking about normative data. So normative data is a collection of assessment data that is used to create national norms. It helps to provide us a context for comparison when we're looking at our students and our school's data. So we get this data from over 11 million students nationwide. We compile it and we create these norms charts. So as you can see on the left over here, I have an example of what a 2020 school growth norm looks like. So we do have 3 different types of normative data that we will be referencing. That is student level achievement norms. This shows their percentile rankings in a nationally representative student population. We use student level growth norms. This compares individual growth to their peers and individuals' growth to their peers. And last but not least, we have school level norms. This gives us a context for grade level achievement and growth within a school compared to other schools all across the nation. Once again, there is another link below if you wanted to look at some other examples of what our normative data charts look like. Last but not least, I have compiled some of the resources that I used for this presentation and that I found very helpful when researching some of these items. So first and foremost, I have our NWA Map Help Center. Great website, has some search bar features, some articles, lots of information in there. So next we have a family handout. This is a great PDF printable handout that I would use when talking to parents about map results or at conferences. Just a great handout for families and parents and guardians. And last but not least is the NWA Education blog. Lots of really great articles, resources for parents and educators alike. So I hope that you enjoyed this presentation, and I look forward to hearing back from you. Thank you so much. Have a great day.